Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Maverick Mindset Radio Show. I am Adam Williams.
And I'm Ashley Muckenhut.
And this is the radio show for the dreamers and doers. It's for those who are willing to step into the arena.
Some call us the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers.
We don't accept the status quo. We leave the world better than we find it.
We approach each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. We maintain irrational optimism about the future.
This is the Maverick Mindset Radio Show, brought to you by me, Adam Williams. And man, I leave for 1 week, and you deleted a sentence from our intro.
I just noticed that as you were reading.
Thank
I'm like, oh,
goodness I remembered who I am.
put it in there.
I leave for 1 week and the whole operation.
I know. You came back and the mics are different. I
Yeah,
told
new
you not to
cameras.
wear your headset. And
I can't do it without a headset. But we're back. It's April 16th. It's show number 51. I missed the big 5-0.
yeah.
Yesterday, of course, April 15th, the worst day of the year for Americans, in my opinion. Although, interestingly, in most states, we have not yet reached Tax Freedom Day.
Oh.
And that is the day where you actually get to keep the money that you make. So still right now, you're working to pay the government.
I love that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yay.
So here we are, April 16th.
I mean, when you put it like that.
Well, that I don't know if you've, and we have a really special guest today. I'm really excited about it. But we also have we got some stories.
Oh my gosh,
but I
so
don't
much
think,
has happened.
So much has happened. I don't think, like, the Tax Freedom Day idea, right? And it's different in every state because tax rates are different. But you have to put it in terms of that. Like, you're working a third of your year to pay the government. And I don't think people think it's just, oh, the taxes get withheld and I file and whatever. And I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes it takes some really dramatic demonstrations to drive the point home for people.
Yeah.
And actually, we're going to talk about this today.
Oh,
this is going to relate to
Okay.
our guest and what we're talking about. But I'm gonna allude to it now. But here's the idea, right? I was on the road all last week.
Yes.
And I had 2 speaking engagements. And the first one was in Tucson with a smaller audience, 50 or 60 people.
Yeah.
And the second one was in Savannah with 600 people.
Yeah.
All women.
All women.
Like, the first group of 50 or 60 attorneys, no big deal.
Right.
600 women, oh.
You don't know how nervous you can get until you're in a room full of.
There was, it's essentially the same talk, except one I had an hour and a half and another one I had 20 minutes.
Yes.
Right? And I actually want to talk to Anthony about this today. Like, I tested new material during that first one.
Okay.
And got feedback on how it went so that the second one could be impactful and effective.
Yeah.
Especially trying to cram all that content
In
into
20
into
minutes, which went by very quickly.
So let's talk about what that demonstration was, since it worked.
Yeah. Can I say it?
Sure.
Okay. So in a room
I mean, it's
full,
my gig, but
I know,
whatever.
it was so cool. But in a room full of 600 women.
Real estate agents.
Real estate
and
agents.
So this was Girls with Grit,
Yes.
which is the largest, coolest, most awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like,
they took over the hotel.
So if you're a female real estate agent, you really need to be checking.
Yeah,
out Girls
you
with
need
Grit.
to be looking at that because there were real estate agents from everywhere.
Yeah.
It was a great crowd. But you did a demonstration of taking money,
cash.
It was cash money, and putting it through. They were $100 bills and putting it through a shredder,
the big ones,
and shredding it in front of them. And the visceral response from people was, how are you doing that? We have people come up to the booth afterward and they were like, you gave me a heart attack. I can't believe that you did that. It was shocking to see money just be shredded in front of you. But the whole point of that is that's what we do every day if you're not putting strategies in place with your taxes to help save money.
If you aren't being proactive about your taxes year round, you are putting
might as well
$100
shred
bills into a shredder.
Yes. And
Now,
cry. You should cry.
It was fake money.
It was fake money.
Yeah, fake money.
But
So
you
everybody
didn't
relax.
know it. This was the realest fake money
Chrissy
I'd
found
ever
prop
seen.
money that looked like, I even had to like touch it and feel it because when I looked at it,
It even
looked so
had
real.
like the little blue band thing
Yeah, it
on
was
it.
legit.
I mean, it looked
Yeah, so that was good material. And when I saw 60 people at the first event like curl up in their chairs and make noises, I'm like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
And then at the second event, and there were some other material, some other stories and examples that I used that I asked people afterwards. I'm like, did that hit? Did that work? Did you understand what I was trying to say? And I think with our guest today, we're going to talk about that a little bit. But before we get into that, go ahead.
By the second $100 bill, I personally would have stood up and I would have been like, stop!
There were. Yeah. So the second time I did it, I had volunteers like a magician, right?
Yeah.
And the host of this event, I had stand on the stage with me.
Do it.
One of them was holding the shredder. The other one was holding a microphone so that she could record the reactions and everybody could hear it. And it did not. I was going to do it more throughout the presentation, and they basically made me stop. It was awesome.
Yes.
All right. So show 51. I'm really excited to be back in the studio today. As always, Maverick Mindset Radio streaming live on Facebook. And of course, you can find us on Spotify and iTunes. We got the episodes up on YouTube and maverickmindsetradio.com for more information. And today we are talking about the Flagship City Comedy Fest. Is it Fest? Is it festival or is it fest?
Website, it's fest, but it is truly a festival.
It is truly a festival.
I'm excited because I'm not originally from here, so I've never heard of it, but I love comedy, so I'm excited to know.
And that's actually how this came about. Is I heard Anthony a year ago on a different radio show on this station.
Nice.
And was like, this sounds pretty cool. So we sponsored it last year.
Yeah.
And then he reached out again this year, and I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. And by the way, like let's get out and promote this thing. That starts in a week.
Yeah.
So let's get around to it. All right, so let's kick it off with the quote of the day, and then we'll get into Anthony's story and what the Flagship City Comedy Fest is all about.
All right. Quote of the day. Events create space for connection, collaboration, and shared purpose. They're the spark that turns individual ideas into collective momentum for community growth. And I chose this because I think it's important for people to continue to introduce events to communities to try new things, because not only does it bring different people together, which creates new ideas, but it also brings people into an area that they might not have been to before, which causes growth for that community.
Anthony's like, I just want to get people together and share some laughs, and you're like, we are improving this community.
Yes. You're like, that's not my plan, but
it's the driving force truly behind the festival. It's a showcase of the Erie comics that I raised locally at 1020 Collective. So your quote of the day fits perfectly into what I do, because a lot of people haven't been to 1020 Collective. If they come there for comedy, they'll be like, oh, hey, this is my first time ever in this space.
So comedy at 1020 Collective.
There's a bunch of locations, and we're gonna talk about
it.
Good.
See, I'm learning something.
Well, and I think it's really important too, because here we are, 5 years into the pandemic, and this type of community gathering, this type of in-person interaction and friendships and sharing laughs, it hasn't come back.
No.
And we desperately need it right now.
Yeah.
So
I think people are even more negative now than they were 5 years ago.
Negative, isolated, like social interactions have taken a total hit. It's all about that quote or that meme that you can share and get a bunch of likes, and it's not about like actually interacting with human beings and developing relationships.
I've noticed personally, like even though I do comedy in my personal life, I'll go to hang out with friends. I went on a golf trip with people, and it took me several holes to like, oh yeah, we're here to have fun. Like I can loosen up. We're here to just BS, we can do that. And it didn't used to be like that, to where it's like, oh, okay.
It was that force for
So Anthony, let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about the festival, when you started, what it's about, what the goal is for this thing. Like let's get a little bit of the history in the background here.
It kind of came about as a thought, just a crazy idea. We saw neighboring cities do it, like Cleveland and Pittsburgh and Buffalo. We're friends with the people that did it, so it was like, well, I think that's something that we can pull off here, and I would like to showcase the cool parts of our city. Because I've often, when I started, I would do shows at like different venues that weren't pretty, that weren't fun to perform in, versus this with 1020 other spaces. Like I've had comics that have come back for the festival in its third year now, saying, wow, like why didn't you have me perform here before? This place is beautiful. And I said, well, the festival is to thank for that. So it started out as a crazy idea. I approached some people about it. It was very rough and dirty the first year, but it was a lot of fun. It made an impact on the city, on myself, to where I continued it. Last year was a lot of stress because I used the Erie Playhouse. I had Sean Patton in, who is just, I think today released a special, but he was the guy that kind of convinced me to do next year, because having him talk to the Erie comics that I raised locally and have them just like pelting questions at him left and right, and him taking it in stride and joking with them and having fun and giving them true advice on how to succeed. I was like, this is why I did it. Cool. This is very, very cool. So he also was like, hey, use my number. Ask me for headliners. Who do you want? So he also wanted to make sure next year was successful. He said, I'm coming back in 26 or 27. So.
And how many years have you been doing this?
This will be the third year of the festival.
Okay.
The seed got planted in 2022, but the first kickoff was in 23.
Okay. So we're in the third year. Second year, you bring in a big headliner at the Playhouse, which is a larger venue than, I don't know, a brewery or a bar where you're doing some other events. So this year, tell us what the lineup is for this year. Where are some of these events going to be hosted? Because I think when I first learned about this, I thought, comedy festival. I'm going to sit in a chair and they're just going to bring comics through and run them across the stage.
That's what I'm envisioning.
But this is bigger. This is expanded geographically, and we got a bunch of acts. So tell us a little bit about that.
Like, I really enjoy showcasing our city, like I said. So I tried to diversify where we were at. Last year, we were at the Zone for a brunch. This year we're back again at Room 33, which is a beautiful space.
Yep.
Their stage is fantastic. Over at Calamari's in their side room, they've treated me very well throughout the years. Black Monk Brewery is where I first started comedy showcases, and that's kind of where I grew or got my legs under me. And that is our free show on Saturday. But those are all showcases. It's all national comics that come in. But then the bulk of our shows, the feature headliners, and then the headliner is going to be at 1020 Collective this year.
Okay.
We utilize that space. It's great. They've made a lot of improvements there to where it made the space even more wonderful. So this year we're going to have Dwight Simmons, Brandy Posey. Those are our feature headliners for Thursday and Friday. Saturday we have Shane Torres, who is a big name within himself. He has 2 shows on Saturday. So instead of having one big show at the Playhouse, we broke it into 2 shows at 1020 Collective. And then Sunday, the guy that finishes out, Ben Roy, is the most energetic person I've ever met on stage and off stage. He's a genuine, cool human being. But my baby of the festival is the show where we get tattooed during our comedy set.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very funny.
It is, because it is painful, and that translates well into crowds that want to see people get tattooed and laugh.
So you're doing that show?
Yeah, that's the only one I'm on this year.
Okay, and so you've got to put on a show while you're getting tattooed.
Last year, I also featured for Sean Patton at the Playhouse.
Okay.
So selling the tickets and performing and having to keep my cool between the both was insane for me. So just because I started this show, I love it, and I show the comics that it can be done first. Other than that, like I try to keep myself. I'll be behind the scenes at every show, but I don't want to be on stage this year.
So you're going to attend every show that's going on.
I will be setting up every show that's happening. Yeah.
And we just saw some huge events get put on, so the amount of work
there is some background stuff
that
luckily, people don't realize.
Luckily, I have the Erie community. Not only are the comics a part of the festival, but they're volunteering behind the scenes as well, taking tickets, selling merch, helping me tear down, getting stuff to different locations, like Hazards. Upstairs this year we're doing a late night show called Comics Against Humanity, where it's Cards Against Humanity. You get those cards and you have to riff off of that, and if you get something you don't like, the audience gets spare cards that they can give to you.
Okay.
That's a good
I'd be good at that.
Yeah,
one.
You would.
I can't do the rehearse thing as well, but I think like the improv,
Absolutely.
like Woody come up with something now. All right.
Generally, like I'll get something.
If anybody calls in sick, I could be a stand-in.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. When is that?
That's late night Friday, the Friday night, so the 25th.
So this is all happening next weekend.
Yes.
Okay.
So it starts next Wednesday, goes through next Sunday, and there are shows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all across the city.
Wednesday is our locals only showcase, to where that unofficially kicks off the festival, but it's the comics that I've raised give their best 5 minutes. We record it professionally with Cam, and that's going to be at Werner Books, but that's hey, my gift to the Erie community is now you have your best 5 minutes that you can send to people in Cleveland,
Yeah.
Buffalo, Pittsburgh to showcase, hey, we are contenders now.
You keep saying these comics that I raised, and I just imagine like this farm where you walk by and throw some food at them,
And they're
like,
making jokes.
yeah, and they're just talking to themselves in their little stall there. So I want let's get back to this tattooing show again, because I have so many questions.
Yes.
Do you have your tattoo picked out, or is it
The
like a
audience get to
crowdsourced thing?
So generally it's off of a flash sheet. Most of the comics are very cool about that because the comics that perform, we ask them ahead of time, like, hey, being a part of this festival, do you want to be a part of these weirder showcases that we have going on? And some people are like, absolutely not. Other people are like, I already have 100. What's another one?
Right.
I work with Les from Andromeda Studios to where I've picked out mine. But some of the comics are like, hey, I have this, I want my wife's initials in this heart. Very easy to sketch out quickly. So you can work with the artist. We can say, hey, but it has to be a tattoo that can be accomplished within 10 minutes. So it can't be something elaborate or crazy because you only get a 10-minute set.
I think it'd be even funnier if it was like a half-finished tattoo, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
Get
this
the
is.
full
Like, I'm
thing.
getting this colored in this year. So, yeah.
All right, I love it. All right, so
part of a tattoo.
so Flagship City Comedy Festival. More information at flagshipcitycomedyfest.com, and then of course you guys are on social media.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about the lineup that you have for this year. So you mentioned a locals only show, you mentioned this tattoo show, and then some of the big headliners. I'm really curious how you find the people to come in and perform for something like this.
It has been a lot of networking throughout the years. The people that have had fun in the past are our biggest spokespeople.
Okay.
To where it's like, hey, we really had fun at Flagship City Comedy Fest. You guys should apply next year. And they go back to their respective towns of Chicago or Boston or Portland, Oregon, or whatever, to where they start spreading the word within that community. Buffalo, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh are all of our like little brothers or big brothers and sisters, to where several of them will be in the festival as well, and that's like their representation for Flagship this year.
So there is a process to apply to actually be one of the comedians.
We have people submit, which is also a behind the scenes things that not many people know, but we had both the third year now over 200 submissions each year.
And how many do you take total?
This year we have 22 national acts coming in, so we have to whittle that
gotta
down
really-
to 22. Plus our headliners that we bring in, but the headliners are people that we look up to.
Yeah.
And we also look at it as we need a comics comic to come perform. So maybe they don't have the credentials or the things that you would look at to put on a poster, but in the comedy community, man, I want to party with them. I have questions for that guy. How are they doing so well?
Yeah.
They come down and are humans and hang out with you.
And you said that one of the headliners from last year just had a special or something released.
Yeah, Sean Patton was on FX's English teacher as the gym teacher, so that was his big premiere last year.
Wow.
And then I think I saw it on Instagram where he is releasing another hour special, I think today.
Wow, that's really cool. So I think you've clearly done a good job of vetting these people if you got some names
Last
like that
year,
coming in.
we had SNL alum Luke Knoll. He was only one season, but he got hired
on
and
SNL.
cast and was in a season of SNL. So and genuine dude, I got to drive him down to Pittsburgh after the festival and just BS with him to where we connected over music and just like the comic journey.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I have an SNL alum and a current A/B lister. Their numbers in my phone.
Yeah.
They keep asking where their money is, but I know it's their phone.
Yeah. And after a couple more months, it'll be the new phone. Who this?
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Didn't transfer what?
Yeah. I love it. All right. So what are some of the other changes that you put in place for this year? So you said, you were at the Playhouse last year. That created a set of challenges. But what else is new this year that is going to be really exciting for people?
Just the comics that are coming in. It's always a fresh batch. I kind of simplified the formula this year just to make it easier on myself and kind of the community.
Okay.
Having it all at 1020 Collective draws the attention to our headliners, our feature headliners. A lot of our local comics are on the showcases, so they help fill those out, like at Black Monk or Room 33. But it's just genuinely a good time. I'm excited to show the comics a really good time. We know some people at the USS Brig Niagara. We know them at the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. So we're going to get exclusive tours. The Erie Art Museum's been very cool. They're going to give us passes for the comics for the time that they're here. They can go anytime that they want. And I know Ascend gives out free stuff. So a lot of community are getting involved to help showcase Erie in a good light to people from outside of our city.
I think that's really cool, because I mean, the people that are coming in and getting on the stage, they're not making a ton of money doing this, right? Like, this is
I'm one of the few that actually pays my festival attendees.
Yeah. Plus they get some of these other benefits of the tours and an art museum, and you get to go to the climbing gym or whatever. So there's a benefit to showing up and doing this. And then of course, I think for a lot of comedians that have bigger aspirations, it's good for them to be seen at stuff like this and practice some of the material and get some good feedback and, you know, grow that social media following and stuff like that.
I was just in a comedy festival in Morgantown, West Virginia this past weekend, to where Kyle Kinane headlined. But I went down there. I had one show. I paid about $200 to be down there with hotel and food and stuff like that. But the people that I got to meet and hang out with and network with now that want to come through Erie, that I knew the festival organizers, so they had good things to say. A bunch of us comics clicked and had a great time. So just the hangs alone was like, oh, this trip was worth it for me to go down to Morgantown. And I got to meet, hang out, and watch one of my comic idols for free, technically. I paid to be there, but I got to hang. He walked in, shook his hand. He was like, hi, I'm Kyle. I was like, yeah. I'm Anthony. Yeah. And then didn't say a word after that, but hung out with him and around that for like 20 minutes. And I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
That's really cool to be around stuff like that. I mean, we did the same thing when we were in Savannah. Like, there were 20 or 25 speakers at this thing, and we had a list of like, all right, these are the people that I got to network with, because some people are there for free, some people are getting paid big money to be there. So it's like, I want to be one of the people that's getting the big paycheck out of this. So how can I learn from it? But what's really interesting is, like, it sounds like everybody who's participated in this and that you've talked to has been like genuinely a cool human being too. Like, they've been through the struggle, so they want to help some other people. And maybe they see it as like, this isn't a small and shrinking pie. This is a pie that everybody can share in, and we can grow.
The comedy world in general, I mean, that's a hard thing to bust through, right? And become successful. I've always watched like the documentaries on certain ones, and you have to do a lot to build your following up before you actually can hit it. And you have before you're featured on Netflix.
Pay your dues in a sense of like, how do you get to your local club's feature spot? When we started, juniors was in transition, so it was like, well, hey, you have to go to Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or Cleveland to try to compete with their already strong scene. So that was how I had to practice. Yeah. And that was like, well, I can't travel 4 hours round trip for 4 minutes on stage 3 nights a week. Like, I can't maintain that. But that's why I developed the scene here, because there wasn't an open mic. There wasn't anywhere to practice for people to come in from Jamestown or Meadville or something like that, and local Erie people. So it's been a small building, but we have a very, very community-driven scene, which is awesome to be able to brag about, because I see a little bit of fracture in the bigger guys. Buffalo and like the newer comics that try to come up and cause a ruckus and jump to the top too quickly. It often happens to where everybody here is relatively new, even though I'm looked at as the like grandfather, I guess, of comedy now. We still have the same level of when we sit down and talk about jokes. It's like, hey, I'm writing, I need this tag. What is your perspective on this? Because I'm only looking at it this way. How are you going to do that?
So I want to hear more about that, because you said my favorite word, practice.
Yeah.
I think there's a perception that if you're funny, you're just funny, and hand me a microphone and I'll make you laugh.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can occasionally get a laugh out of a talk that I do, and I realize how much work and thought and preparation goes into that. I also spend a lot of time watching people do things and trying to understand why they do it. So like, I follow David Spade on Instagram, and David will be like walking through his neighborhood, and he'll post an Instagram story, and he'll tell a joke. Yeah. And I know that he's doing it not to be funny. I know that he's doing it to test his material.
It's
and the
100%.
more
Oh,
likes
okay.
and feedback and comments and messages that he gets, he doesn't have to stand in front of an audience and embarrass himself, and they paid good money to be there. He can test it on Instagram for free.
That's what Twitter was for me.
Okay.
If I got enough likes or hits on something that I put up there, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to
You
go
know
put that
that
on
worked.
stage.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see how I can elaborate on that now, because it was only 160 characters or whatever. But-
Wasn't it Seinfeld would do that in New York too? Like even when he was big and
Oh,
famous,
they still
he'd-
do that.
So yeah. So tell the story. Tell us a little bit about how that works. Like even people that are perceived as the A-listers or the really funny people, or they're doing the specials and making all the money. What goes into being funny?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
The hardest part for me, and I think for a lot of new comedians, is you might get on stage and you tell your jokes a couple, and you feel that high because you get that laughter. And you're like, this is easy. This is all I did to go up there. So I got lucky and I struck gold twice in a row, and for my first and second time, and I was like,
It's easy.
I got
duh.
this.
Yeah.
Went to my third one, just after mic after mic, and I was like, what is this? I thought this was easy.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to write and think about words and study the greats and go up to the National Comedy Center because it's a gift that we have, but you
Oh, yeah.
get to study all the people that you look at. So the hardest part about comedy for me personally is when you record yourself watching your ticks and seeing the F word is my tick. Or I look at the
Same.
ceiling when I don't feel confident. I don't have to see the audience when I look at a ceiling, and I can just go through my joke. So you have to, hey, I'm doing that, make eye contact, stay here, take that word out of it, and then do that constantly. The hard part about that is doing it here locally when you are in a room of the same 20 people that have heard your jokes 20 times already,
Yeah.
and they're trying to concentrate on their jokes while they're getting up too.
Yeah.
So having fresh ears in there, but going to different cities. So Kyle Kinane headlining the festival that I was just a part of breaks the fourth wall, and he says, I'm going to try some new stuff, guys. And that intimate crowd of 100 people is still a good feedback
Yeah.
loop. So like to loop back to what you brought up in the beginning, I went to 50 to 60 and got that intimacy from that room, and I could have that conversation. Hey, what did you like? What is your different perspective? And then bring that out to your 200 is the exact same process that we go through. So when I go to Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or Cleveland or bigger areas, I bring out my A-game stuff, but I sneak in some new stuff just to see what's working. Oh, did that hit? What word didn't work in there? What could I interchange? How can I trim 15 seconds off of that?
Do you think about, like, I feel like every comedian like has a shtick. Am I saying that? Yeah. Like Matt Rife, he improvs with the audience. Joe Coy, he focuses on like his Philippine life. Kevin Hart is very much just his stories and like Hollywood stuff. Like, how do you decide, all right, this is what my comedy shows focus around? Do you just...
That's your first 10 years. That's
Okay.
what I've been told,
To
is you
figure out
don't know who you are as a comic or what you're doing until you get the experience of getting sidetracked, of having the worst show of your life, having all these different things happen to you, to where I know I'm a storyteller, but it took me 4 years to know that I could lie during a joke. And I was like, oh man, this would have been
I've
way
been telling
easier.
the truth the whole time.
Well, I talk about this in our business because we use stories a lot to drive lessons home. And I think there's a difference between a true story and a story that conveys truth.
Yeah.
For you, there's a difference between a true story and a story that conveys humor, right? So of course we're all going to embellish a little bit, although I've been in some funny situations in my life, but they're always a little bit funnier if you can crank it up just a little bit. So I think, that's so good, because I think that you get it as far as like the struggle that's involved in this. And that was part of the reason I wanted to have you on the show, is I knew you were going to say that, even though we didn't prepare for this. And that's the business lesson too, right? You try the new things, you experiment with the new things, and you get ready to fall on your face very publicly in ways that can be really humiliating. And that was Friday night, and you're back up on stage Saturday night, right? Like that's the part that I think a lot of people don't get, is like, yes, you've got a natural gift, right? And you've got your deep voice, which helps you up on stage, but also you've been really not funny a whole bunch of times in order to get to the part where you're funny. And it's the same thing in business. I've been really unsuccessful a whole bunch of times in order to become successful. So there was a Instagram thing I saw the other day that was like, if you're if you were 30 failures away from success, how quickly would you want to get through those failures? And I think that's it. Like if you were out there doing this every single week and getting up there, and now that you know some of the stuff that works, you can, I don't remember what you said, but you can like sneak in some new material, right? Like, all right, I'm going to test this, or I'm going to tweak this other thing and see how it resonates. And the only way is to go out and actually do it. I can sit there and think, or if I do a speaking engagement, and I try and incorporate a lot of humor in when I speak. So when I have an hour on stage, I may spend 4 hours preparing for that, just rehearsing in my head or timing myself for seeing how it's going to go. But until I actually get out there and do it, I don't know how it's going to go. So even the thing that I did on Sunday that was 20 minutes long, I've listened to it 4 times since then. Because I've already come up with 3 or 4 things. I'm not going to blow up the whole speech because it was probably the best one I've ever given. But there were 3 or 4 things that's like, no, you know what? If I make this adjustment, I think this can be really good.
Yeah, and that's just what it is. I had, like, one of my finishing jokes is the same one it's been for 4 or 5 years, and it's a true story that I've tweaked.
Right.
So when I tell it to people like locally here at showcases, to where, hey, you see me month after month after month, and I can't write 15 minutes after 15 minutes. I'll close with that because there's 2 of you that have seen my stuff time and time again, but a whole room of people that haven't.
Right.
So they go, oh, hey, I noticed that little change there. You got to the point quicker. It was better. Like, they have been my feedback in that as well, but it is just consistency. It's getting up there and then studying what you did, because you can feel good about a show. And one of our local comics just put this on Instagram, and I'm going to share it probably after this so people can see it. But he put up like, hey, I'm going to be a part of the Flagship City Comedy Festival, see hot new material like this, to where he clipped together all the ums that he did during his set. And it was just and it made me truly giggle as I was watching.
We're on episode 51, which means I have about 4,500, right? Right? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's brutal. But I think that's one of our core values in our business is you got to take your job seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And man, if being a successful entrepreneur isn't like being a successful comedian, I don't really know what is. So that's pretty exciting. All right, so when we have guests on this show, there are some standard questions that we ask, and no one has passed this test yet because no one's listened to the show enough. None of our guests have listened to the show enough to know what the questions are. But anybody who is doing their homework and preparing for these would know all these questions. So we're gonna run through some of these, even though we've covered some of it. So we may improv this a little bit, Ashley. But we got Anthony Morelli, Flagship City Comedy Festival. Why is that so hard to say?
The flagship throws you off.
Yeah,
you can really mess
it's
it
about to be the flagship.
Yeah, I did say that on a voicemail, and I was like, that was good representation of what this mail is going to be about.
All right, so tell us. So we got the festival next week. Starts a week from today, next Wednesday. So our standard question is, tell us what's going on in your business right now. And you talked about that a little bit. Is there anything else that you want to add to like what's going on right now? What's keeping you up at night? What are you thinking about?
Buy tickets. Please, God, buy tickets.
Yeah, so you're selling tickets. Yeah, and I think that's the I mean, you're in crunch time right now. You're a week out. You got all these details with all these venues, all of these comedians. You yourself are getting up on stage, which means you got to be mentally ready for that.
On the last day.
Yeah, after
you went through everything else,
and after partying with everybody,
just get up there on that stage and don't even talk.
I'll fall asleep during the tattoo. Yeah. That'll be my show.
Drink a beer and smoke a cigarette, and
this is me.
Okay, and then where do people buy tickets?
Online is the best way, through the website. It kicks you over to our local publications website, though. They use ERTix.
Yep.
So eReader. So you can find it anywhere, but the most centralized location is flagshipcitycomedyfest.com.
Can they get them? Well, 2 questions. 1, are these all evening shows? And then 2, can they get them at the door?
Yes, and yes. The earliest show, I believe, starts at 5, other than the tattoo show. That starts at 3 in the afternoon on Sunday. But everything else is in the evening, 5 to 7. Hazard starts at 11 p.m. So that's our late night show. But we have a headliner before that and a showcase before that. So
now, are there different places having comedy shows at the same time, or you have to choose? Or like Wednesday, this is it, and Thursday, this is it?
Yeah, so we have the showcases being at somewhere pretty close to 1020 Collective. I've spread it out across the city in years prior, and it people kept saying that they got confused, and I was like, that's weird. I can read a flyer, but like, so it was okay. Well, let's if it's gonna make it easier for people to come to 1020 Collective, let's keep people, especially people that buy fest passes, that go, hey, I want to come to every show because I know it's gonna be good comedy no matter what, so they can bop over from, okay, room 33 is done, now I can go to 1020 in that half an hour of door time and be able to get from location to location.
So you set it up enough where they could attend every single show if they wanted to. Do you have multiple shows a night, or each it's one
multiple shows a night. So showcase, headliner, something weird after is Friday. Saturday we have showcase out at Black Monk Brewery, and then 2 headliner shows Saturday night. Sunday is the tattoo show, and then the final headliner. And Thursday is room 33, or Calamari's. Thursday is room 33, 1020 Collective with Dwight Simmons. Friday is Calamari's, and then 1020 Collective with Brandy Posey.
I'm reading your website as you said that, and you got all of that right. So
nice.
You've got it at least rehearsed in your head of where you have to be and when. A little comedy adventure across the city of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Is this every year held in April, or do you?
I decided on the last weekend of April because I'm not fighting Erie to come inside yet.
Yep.
And it's not quite nice enough to be like, oh, I'm going to plan this big thing for that weekend.
Yeah.
What was really cool last year is I got to work with the Seawolves, and they gave us 100 free tickets.
Nice.
Comics got to throw out the first pitch, which is a lie because I was third. But so they were very involved. We got to have some really cool things happen with them, and their home games just happened to be on that weekend, whereas this year they're on the road. Next year they'll be home again. So every other year they seem to want to get involved.
And you're bringing in, I'm going off our script, you can do the next question, but you're bringing in comics from all over the place, right? I mean, regionally or even nationally potentially. But what about the people that come to the event? Is it a bunch of Erieites, or do we got some people coming here to on vacation, or just?
I had a couple of people reach out because I took the email list of last year's tickets bought. And I go, hey, we're having this again if you had fun. And a couple of people reached out, and they're like, do you have any recommendations for hotels? We're coming in from Meadville. We're coming in from Jamestown. So I also Facebook advertise to them specifically, too. I go 50 miles outside of Erie, but then 25 outside of the bigger cities that we surround us that would want to come in for something like that.
That's pretty cool. And I bet, like, if some of these headliners have a little bit of a following, then they're going to have people that will want to travel to come and see them at really some small venues, but I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, it's like I'm hesitant to use the word intimate because I feel like you're going to jump all over that and make a joke out of it. But these smaller,
you just did.
Yeah, I had to diffuse your bomb before you. So I think it'd be you're talking about really interacting with these people and seeing them. This is not like they show up in the limousine and get hustled in backstage.
Yep.
Jump out on stage and do their show and then leave. Like, they're probably going to step off the stage and walk to the bar.
They're going to sell merch and hang out with you and talk to you while they're doing that. Shane Torres is, again, that's why I bring these people in, because they're comics. They show you how it's done. They make sure that they're professional, but then you get to party with them afterwards and see the human side of them too.
I'm thinking, I'm an idea guy, right? But I'm thinking if you bring all these people in, it might be neat to even do something that isn't a comedy show, but it's like a panel of how to go up in this business.
So Sunday brunch is hey, whoever's left over, if you can stick around. If Shane is still in town, he's going to give a talk. I have some other people. I want to get industry professionals in town. That's cool. Specifically from the National Comedy Center, because they can really, hey, this is the guidance.
Forgot about the National Comedy Center up in Jamestown. I mean, that's what
I have to turn into a nonprofit for them to correspond with me.
And is it easy for this to be not profitable?
It is very. I am scared for next year profitable.
Well, we'll make it work, and I think that's part of the, how it works. You keep putting good stuff out there, and then the money can come as a result of it. And then, I mean, obviously this year, a new level of fame and success being on the Maverick Mindset radio show. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
we may need to get back
We
in.
may
there.
have just
actually wanna
catapulted
get
you
off of here.
into
Erie,
your most
I wanna watch.
success.
Yeah, what's
yet.
the capacity of the Erie Insurance Arena? Because we may be worried about that.
Well,
now. All
here's
right.
the thing though. Erie doesn't always have a lot going on. So doing things like this, and as it gets more and more, like, again, this was the first year, like, I had heard about it. So as it gets more and more out there and more people start coming to do it, it's I feel like it'll be something that's people look forward to April.
These
because
are the cementing years.
Yeah.
Is to make sure that I put on a good show, that people have fun and they talk about
Yeah.
it. I learned a lot from my dad, but like one of the biggest things that I learned was word of mouth in Erie is going to take you further than anything will.
Oh yeah.
So that takes me into my question. So, like, just real quick, your backstory. Like, how did you know you were funny? Like,
There was literally.
Well, he said he
one-
wasn't funny for 10 years.
Yeah.
More than I'm 40 now. There was literally one day where like my family acknowledged I was funny when I made fun of my mom the one time, because I was like, oh, we were talking about the Bible or something, and I was like, oh, the devil goes by many names, the devil, Lucifer, Carolyn, whatever. And my whole family stopped and they're like, I was like, all right, cool.
That worked.
But in college, I remember being a part of a commercial that they were shooting, and one of the guys was like, you need to get this guy on stage. But I had stage fright. I never wanted to. And then I was personal training for a while. Had my own studio, and I was making people laugh doing a plank for a minute. And they would be like, that was a minute? Oh, look at me. And I was like, yeah, well, that's because I made you laugh the whole time. I was actually twice as effective, I want to point out. But so they were like, oh, you need to get on stage, to where I finally got a Twitter. I started putting things out there. Okay, what do I like? Following comics that I like, seeing their format, and really kind of studying what to do. And then one day somebody took a picture of the marquee at Juniors saying, hey, open mic this next Thursday or whatever. Called them. They called me back on Wednesday. They're like, yeah, you'll be on tomorrow.
Wow.
I was
Very
like, what do you do? They're like, oh, 5 minutes, we'll let you at 4. I was like, oh, okay. And then got up there. I had 3 one-liner jokes that I tried out, and then I told a couple of stories and kind of went nuts from there. But yeah, it was just people continually encouraging me, and then me not telling a soul that I was going to go do an open mic.
Right.
And that was the fullest Juniors has ever been, other than probably this Dave Attell show recently, which I hated, but I loved at the same time. The MC, Steve Rogers, brought me up, and there was 9 knockout artists before me that got up there. So I'm shaking in my boots, and he goes, guys, I want to tell you that I have MC'd open mics across the country. I've been to them, and usually I'm just performing for the people that are paid to be there, the bartenders. To have a room this full, this crowded as every comic's dream, let's bring up for the first time ever on stage Anthony Morelli. And I was like, I hate you. But it was after that, like, you
then
couldn't.
it was good. Yeah.
Once that fear was realized and it wasn't fear anymore, and then you get comfortable enough to go, oh, I don't care what these people think.
Yeah.
Like, if they laugh, that's my job. Dope. If
Right.
they don't, I can go home and work on it, and that's fine.
You treat it as an experiment. That's the business lesson. That's the comedy lesson. Like, don't take it personally if it does flop. You go back and tweak it and try and make it better.
Yeah.
And don't get married to that outcome, but get married to, all right, next time I do it, it's going to get better, until you really refine that. The other thing that struck me there is, what you're doing a show where you get tattooed. Why are we not doing like a group fitness class?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, gosh, make working out fun
Yeah.
again, please.
Yeah, like yoga and comedy. Right?
Yes.
That
Oh
would
my
be-
gosh.
I
Like,
originally
that's a whole
wanted to
thing.
open up a trifecta of like a personal training studio, a comedy area, and then a cannabis/health food store, and then have all 3 of those just be in.
Cannabis/health food. So that was a trifecta, and you named 4 things. So that was
They were combined though. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the KFC Taco Bell combo.
yeah.
They're separate but together.
Man, if you could put that next to the KFC Taco Bell, oh man, I love it. All right. So imagine you could have a panel of 3 people, living or dead, to help you with your most important decisions. Who are those people you would want on your panel? This is going to be good. I'm excited about this one.
I wanted to immediately be like Chris Farley, Robin Williams,
Right, yeah.
George Carlin. Those are 3 people, human beings, that the energy in that room, I would never be able to get anything accomplished, but I would have the absolute time of my life. So number 1, in realistic terms, my grandmother. She passed away not too long ago, but she made sure I kept a a solid look forward while keeping my head on a swivel. She was very smart, very determined. She was a big influence in the Erie community for a long time. So she's number one. I don't really care what anybody else would say after that.
Yeah.
But number 2 and number 3, right now, Nate Bargatze.
He's coming to Erie, right?
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a stranglehold on the game right now. He knows what to do, how to do it, and how to get it accomplished.
What do you think is causing that? I mean, he's funny,
Yeah.
right? And he's pretty clean about it too.
The last special, because my wife and I watched the last special before going to see one of his 2 sold-out Warner shows.
Okay.
Halfway through, I was like, and he said a joke about where he was like, "Yeah, I said darn," and I was like, "He hasn't sworn this whole. Oh my god! Like I forgot he was clean, but he's so relatable because everybody's like, I'm stupid too. Like, I get it. Oh, look at those big old dumb eyes. Yeah.
All right. So your grandmother, Nate Bargatze. When is he coming to Erie?
June something. I
And
think.
he was here in the last year or so.
Yeah, he just right before he released his most recent special. That's what he does is you do a big run of cities of 100,000 plus that you can sell out a theater, you can get positive feedback, but each show you're going to have a different variation of that joke.
Okay.
Or you're going to end it differently.
When somebody like that comes to Erie, where do they perform it?
They'll do Warner. He's coming back. Bargatze's coming back, but because he sold out 2 shows at Warner, he's now at Erie Insurance.
Wow.
And
That's
then,
how you move up. Warner,
Well, but
Erie
that's
Insurance.
also good for the comedy scene in Erie too,
Yeah.
right? Like you get big names.
Well, 'cause
I know
always
that people
feel
are
like
hungry.
The comedy places, if there's a comedian coming, I know a lot of times they do it at a college campus. Edinburgh hosts a lot of
that's
big
where I
names.
first saw Kevin Hart.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and then anywhere else that you want to go see a big comedian, it's not in Erie, it's in Cleveland or Buffalo or Pittsburgh. So utilizing like Erie Insurance to bring bigger names would bring more people into
Like you follow Tom Segura to where he was touring around like I am trying to do now, to where now he was into clubs like Juniors, and then he went to the Warner, and now he can probably go if he brings a
But isn't that the
star-studded
guy that
cast.
should never be welcome back to Erie ever again?
I immediately,
So
as soon as
funny
he
that
did that, I was like, I got to do a clapback. But then I was getting people involved, Jesse James and a couple, Pat Kelly, a couple of photographers and videographers. I was like, yo, let's get a big scene, show the best parts of Erie, and then at the end have like a drone shot where we all just go, hey, Tom Segura, and flip you off. But yeah, the news got involved. They're a little quick on it. So, but that's the thing. Like, you can speak the truth in a joke and be mean. You can realize that 12th Street looks like crap sometimes in certain sections. And if you're coming into town and you're only driving through, sitting in an apartment at Juniors, performing, and then drive back through that, that's your impression on Erie.
And that, for those who don't know, Tom Segura, he's famous. I mean, he's got his podcast is huge.
Several
He's
podcasts.
huge.
So he came to Erie, performed, and then made fun of us.
Crap.
And so everybody hated him. But then one of the news channels set up something where like the weatherman played basketball against Tom.
They were Twitter activated, and like they would just go at each other on Twitter to where it finally came together. I tried to get them to do their basketball game during my first festival. Okay. Because I reached out to both of them. Only one responded, and it wasn't the national guy. But he, I forget his name, Warner, the meteorologist.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
He was like, "Oh, I know that I'm leaving Erie soon." And then I looked at Tom Segura's schedule, and he was in Europe during my festival, and I was like,
that's not gonna work.
So they planned it themselves, and I was like, can I at least be the referee? Like, just let me be a part of this thing somehow. Then the one that did respond stopped. So yeah, that didn't work. But yeah, so when he was at the Warner, he even crapped on Junior's last laugh, because during that tenure of time, I think it was different owners, you couldn't be dirty. You couldn't say cuss words or anything like that. So he went up there and he used a different term for a female part, but it wasn't dirty. So he didn't, like, he was like, oh, I had a good set, got off, and they're like, hey, we're not going to pay you. Like, you said that, we said you couldn't do it, you breached your contract. So he got on stage and did the filthiest joke that I had heard from him to date, and then was like, hey, Juniors, That was for you. And I was like,
All right, so we're in the third year of the Flagship City Comedy Festival, and I like that you do this annually because you can try new stuff and experiment with new things. So our next question is, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
hire a team to help. Doing it all
This
myself.
is such great business advice.
It is.
I feel like I say this on every show.
It is hard to maintain everything myself or be the catch-all. And I've realized this. I've had help prior, but the past 2 years, it's kind of directly fallen on me this year specifically.
Yeah.
So if I want to succeed or continue this, I know that there are people that I'm already going to reach out to and talk to. And I was like, hey, you need to manage the social media side of things. Like, I won't micromanage. You're better at it than I am. Please take it over, but I'll just feed you the information that you need to know to make the graphics and then to post it.
Yeah.
And that's all I need to do on that end. And then watching tapes. So from going from 200 submissions down to 22, you get some, oh man, I'm excited to meet this person and have them here. And then you get some people that you're like, you should quit. You should, there's a freedom of expression, but stop.
Is that what the rejection letters say?
Yeah.
No, it's like, hey, let's
Pack it in, bro.
Yeah.
Like, go deliver
don't let
subs
us
for
crush
Jimmy
your
John's.
dreams, but you
should
didn't
never
make
do
it.
this
so.
again.
Oh man, I love it. All right, so if you had to do it over again, be hiring a team earlier. That's always the business advice. All right, what keeps you up at night?
Ticket sales.
All right, then keep hammering that home.
Yeah.
FlagshipCityComedyFest.com.
Go buy your ticket.
Right.
Get the
now.
tickets. Has Erie Reader done a story this year about the festival?
Yeah, I bought advertisements. I put a quarter
Okay.
page in there, and then they just put out a feature. Aaron Mook wrote a very
Excellent.
nice piece about it this year. So yeah, they bring it around to the April edition.
Nice. All right, so we got a little more publicity coming out in Erie Reader, and of course that momentum builds every single year, and we get more ticket sales for you. I love that.
Do like the comedy like Keller's? Is that what it's called?
It is called Keller.
Okay. Like, are they in support of this? Do they shut down while you have this, or are they like, you're still under thunder? Okay.
I don't believe that they are happy with what I do.
See, we need the community support one another, and the stuff that
I've tried to approach them from several different angles to get the owner to sit down and talk, but that hasn't worked out in my favor yet.
Not everybody's supportive in the community.
Yeah,
That
it should be.
There's good business advice there too, right? You're always going to have people that don't want to support.
It's
what you're
okay. I am doing what I love.
Yeah.
I'm helping raise a community to where people have thanked me time and time again, saying, hey, like, without this, I don't know where I would be at currently.
Yeah, you're a part of the story of these comedians,
Yeah.
right? When they make it big, they're gonna be like, I remember when I was
And
at.
I'm like, please remember.
Yeah, please shout out.
Well,
please.
I mean, it's the same thing in the startup community, right? There are these incubators that help startups launch and grow and scale. And at some point, some of these incubators become famous in and of themselves. Like, oh, you've been part of this? Well, you must be legit, and we'd like to have you as part of ours. So
Being in Morgantown, that's what kind of gave me credibility down there is, oh, hey, he runs Flagship City Comedy Festival and that scene up there, and he's a comic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Word. How are you?
Yeah.
What's up?
yeah, that's awesome.
bring more. I love comedy, absolutely love it. So bring more of that to Erie. I don't feel like we have enough of it,
Doing a pretty good job.
honestly. Yeah.
All right,
have
he needs a team. Are you going to go volunteer?
Yeah. Yes, I will. I think I'm funny.
Well, yeah.
A couple
Try
drinks
it
in,
I got one of
and
those
I'm
rejection letter
hilarious.
templates I can borrow. All right. Last question, Anthony. What do you want to be doing in 5 years?
This. Still running this. Still having fun. Still making people laugh. Bigger, better.
Yeah.
But
Bigger names, bigger venues.
eventually I want to have my headliner be at the Warner. That's
sweet.
just why we do this, is to make the most people laugh that we can. And if I can provide that and keep getting bigger and better, cool. That's what I want to keep doing.
Well, and I think the work that Visit Erie and Erie Events does, there is definitely alignment here, right? You're bringing people into our community. You're showing them what we're about. You're filling up some hotel rooms. You're filling up bars and restaurants. And frankly, I think all the social media impact of all the people that come here and the comedians that come here too. There's definitely some alignment there that could and should happen. So
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. You're doing this for the right reasons, and I think that's why people support it. So starting next Wednesday, April 23rd, Flagship City Comedy Festival. Check them out online, flagshipcitycomedyfest.com. I think it's a total of 10 shows everywhere from Warner Books to Calamari, Squid Row, 1020 Collective, Black Monk Brewery, Room 33, Hazards Mini Golf. That'll be a good one. I'm excited about that. That's a venue that I have not been in yet, but I've seen a lot of pictures and it looks really, really cool. Yeah. So exciting stuff in its third year. Some big name comedians coming in on their way into new features and specials too. So great stepping stone for people. Anthony Morelli, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Have a great week, everybody. I believe in you.